Hello everyone. I hope you've all had a good start to the module. By now you should have had the opportunity to read through the week's material, complete the poll, and engage in the online classroom discussions. If you have missed any of these, you still have some time left before the start of week 2. Thank you to all those who have completed week 1's activities. There were some very good discussions in the online classroom, which I shall come to in a couple of seconds. Before that, let's quickly discuss the poll results. So the poll question for the week was, what do you think the ideal average Australian spend on R&D should be? You were given a little background for that, which said in 2017, Intel spent 20.9% of its revenue on R&D, while Australian companies generally only spend about 1.8% of their GDP on R&D. So based on that, the question was, what do you think the ideal average Australian spend on R&D should be? So we had 12 persons opting for the 5% option and 13% persons opting for the 10% option. We had 2 persons that chose the 20% option, and nobody voted for the 2% option. So 10% was the most favored choice, followed by 5%. So I found that to be very interesting, 5% and 10% choices, because they're very safe choices to start with, but they're also very realistic in nature. And as you may have, noted, the question in itself is quite ambiguous in nature. So it seemed like it was referring to both R&D spending by companies and the government, if you realized. So because of that, the way each of you interpreted the question would have definitely influenced your answers in the online discussion forum this week. All right, so with that, we move to discussion point number 2. So the discussion point number 2 was, are there some industry sectors that you would expect to spend more than others? What do you think might be preventing companies from higher R&D spending? So that was the questions that you had in front of you for the second discussion topic. Once again, great inputs for discussion number 2. There were a number of interesting mentions, which I'm going to read out to you now. So the mentions were the medical industry, health sector, renewable energy, technology, fashion, television. All right. There was somebody that mentioned that, for example, early childhood sector is, for example, one of the sectors that might easily be overlooked and might not get sufficient funding. A very interesting perspective indeed, and quite accurate too. In a post-COVID situation, it might change. However, considering that we're still in a COVID-19 environment, it might be difficult to garner funding for non-health areas. I was expecting to see other sectors as well, for example, military or the defense sector, considering the current tensions that are ongoing around the world. I was also expecting to see sustainability as a mention there, since it's one of the key priorities for the United Nations, and the expectations are very high on governments and also various sectors to to commit to the Sustainable Development Goals, I expected to see that. I was also expecting to see some mention of occupational health and safety, as well as food and agriculture and arts as well. Yeah. Okay. You might wonder, since art is, for example, usually considered as a non-essential undertaking or as a luxury, you might wonder why I said that. However, during COVID-19, a lot had changed. A lot of expenditure was being diverted towards arts as well, because it was greatly helping mental health. So there you go. Now that's about it for what I had in terms of comments for your contributions for this week's discussion points and the poll. I really appreciate your engagement, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the content that is upcoming. So with that, I will leave you to complete any pending tasks that you may have, such as your weekly quiz, which is crucial for you to complete. You must also go through the different posts by your peers and see if you have received any comments to your posts. Please respond back and engage with your peers so that you can learn from one another. Thank you very much, and I will see you in week 2. Take care.